What's up, everyone? Welcome back for another exciting episode of hearing me talk about medical school. Okay, so I think what I'm going to start doing is starting my vlogs with answering a very simple question. How does med school have me feeling right now? In this last week, I felt defeated, and then scared, and then relieved, and then let's see, we are on Wednesday. Oh, and then I felt inspired, and slightly disappointed in myself. By the end of the week, I was very appreciative and grateful. That is a pretty typical week for a med student, and it is not as bad as it sounds. But if you want to hear me talk about all of that stuff, you gotta give me like 4 minutes, because you can't expect me to dish out all the good stuff at the beginning, obviously. So we will circle back to those exciting, vulnerable emotions momentarily, but first, one of the exciting things going on in our school recently was us first years running for all these positions in our clubs now. So not too long ago, we got the green light, we're able to join clubs now. And so shortly after that, now it's time for us to run the clubs. So this created a very interesting environment in our school. So it turns out it was a lot more campaign heavy than I realized. Mind you, my school has only been here for 5 or 6 years. For the most part, almost all of our clubs are relatively new. So a lot of what people advertise or campaign is what they're gonna bring to the club and make it better and how it grow, blah, blah, blah. Once one person started doing it, it just like blew up. So some clubs obviously are a lot more competitive. So what was interesting about this was that the deadlines for these roles were all over the place though. So some of these positions, like the application was due at the end of January, then the beginning of February, then mid-February. Some of them are still kind of ongoing still, but here's the kicker though. So our med school said that we can only have 2 leadership positions across all organizations. So it makes sense. They don't want us to bite off more than we can chew. They don't want us to get into roles and all of a sudden that we can't fulfill those duties and whatnot. But what I don't think people anticipated was that if we're only allowed to join 2 clubs and we have all these deadlines going on completely different times, it's like you want to maximize those 2 leadership positions, right? If we're only allowed to have 2, like I wanted 2, for example. To say this the most simple way, this created a hot mess express of a situation. Some clubs are great about it. They're very organized and thorough and were very fair. Other clubs were not as organized or enthusiastic about the change of power, or very fair for that matter either, which is very unfortunate. But it's interesting. So now we've kind of had some people stepping into positions, leading clubs that maybe are not as passionate about those clubs as other people. And a lot of that I think comes down to is we were so scared, like if we don't get something, all these different deadlines, it's like you might be out of the chance for another position. So you hold on to whatever positions you get. And so it's just very interesting. It is what it is though. That is the way the world works. It is over and done with. And I low-key have enjoyed watching all of this stuff unravel the last few weeks. Oh my gosh, now guess what? This is crazy to me. The second year med students, now I'm a first year, but the second year med students at my school take their last set of exams this week. And then after that, they're off campus after this week. They have their own dedicated, is what it's called, just to study between now and the boards, which they take, I think April, I'm not sure. I should know this, I don't. So that means I, in 1 year, will be taking my last exam of my didactics. That is just so crazy to me. It's like I have literally just started using my assignment notebook. I have been here for 5 minutes and I'm already halfway through my first year, and I only have a year until the end of my didactics. I guess I'm more than halfway into my first year, but I'm gonna miss them. I'm gonna miss the second years a lot. Some of them have really started to grow on me. So what's interesting is I think of those 2 second years who gave me my tour last year, and I'm not friends with them, I don't really know them, we didn't really cross paths, but I remember seeing them during my first week, and I was like, wow, like they're a whole year ahead of me. And yesterday I just gave my first campus tour now. That's one of the things I do as like one of the ambassador guys, but I gave them a campus tour, and it's just so crazy because they were directly admitted students, and I was like, I cannot believe where we are. Like, you know, I was right where you were a year ago, sitting here admiring the med students, and now I'm here giving tours of the med school, talking about what it's like to be a med student. So amazing. And then finally, I guess just to bring it back into med school a little bit, what we're doing. So I've told you guys bugs, drugs, immunology, but this last week we kind of dove into the autoimmunity side of things. So lupus and then like rheumatoid arthritis were our 2 case studies. Those are just 2 among, you know, tons of autoimmune diseases. But little did we know that Josh appreciates this stuff a lot more than I thought I would. Hearing the rheumatologist. So if you couldn't have gathered as much, most of our lectures are taught by a rheumatologist right now. And it is fascinating. It is fascinating. So we'll see. Who knows? Maybe I'll become a rheumatologist, dermatologist. Okay, fine, I'll talk about my emotions now. So, what did I feel? Okay, so I threw out a lot of emotions at the beginning of this video. So first and foremost, what I will say is, I am sharing with you guys like all the little highs and lows that kind of happens throughout the week. Overall though, my disposition of med school has been a very happy one. I was a little psychotic pre-med school because I always had 2 full-time jobs or worked full-time, did grad school full-time. I actually was able to slow down a little bit when I got into med school, so very unusual situation, but for me. So overall, don't confuse with what I'm about to say with my experience in med school, because it's been a pleasant one. Now, I felt defeated at the beginning of the week because we were getting our Unit 3 scores back this week. I did not feel good about one of the exams with among the 3 days, just one subsection. It was eating me alive. Eating me alive, because I do this particularly nasty thing to myself. When I don't do well, I think I've ruined my future, and I am not very nice to myself with those emotions, when those emotions come. So that's something I really had a kind of a reality check with Unit 3, because I felt so good about most of it, but one area, I'll be candid, I was afraid I was gonna fail it, and so I didn't. Side note, I passed everything. It was a horrible feeling. I was sitting there thinking that if I fail this, my future won't be the way that I envision it. I won't be able to do the things I want to do. And so then, you know, you spiral. Very, very common in med school. I can personally tell you, I know tons of other classmates who think this way too, and it's not healthy. So that is why I felt defeated at the beginning. Found out, passed, so I was relieved, and I was proud of myself, because it is hard, you know, it is hard, you know, but I passed, so I was proud. Now, with that being said, so one of the things that I was disappointed in myself was the fact that I was even in this situation. You know, I'm always so confident with things, and I did not feel very confident going into that particular exam. And it was my own fault with the unit. So I've learned how to be stricter with myself in certain areas, and I came up with a game plan, but you feel bad that you're so mean to yourself. You know, I was holding myself to such high standards, it's okay to mess up, and so sometimes I'm afraid to let myself think like that though. So those are a whirlwind of emotions that kind of just come and go, come and go, come and go. And there's gonna be highs and lows, it's totally normal. Okay, so that is about as much vulnerability as I'm gonna give right now. This next week will be interesting. A few things going on this next week. So do you guys remember way back when, the beginning when I started doing these, we started as the first years, at the beginning of the year, we had to get EMT certified, do all these things. Well, now that is coming finally back in. So we did everything except take the national test. You know, that is this week. So I have to take my national EMT exam just to get that national certification. Other than that, it's actually a pretty quiet week, but this is kind of the week where the curriculum, so we're halfway through the unit, and this is the week where things can get kind of super complicated, and I know my structures lab is going to get super complicated, so it is just head and neck this unit, and there is a ton of stuff going on up here, and so I'm just waiting. I know we haven't dived into the bulk of it, so I know that's to come this week. So anyways, tons of studying and stuff going on, but that's all I got. All right, and I'll see you guys next Sunday. Peace out. Thanks for watching.